Welcome to the Parkland Report. My name is Seamus Riley. Joining me in this section of the report, Nancy Sutton, Chair of Fine Applied Arts. Thanks very much for being here.
It's great to be here.
Tell me a little bit about what's been going on in Fine and Applied Arts in the construction field.
Well, about a year ago we started construction of 2 new facilities, one new art studios that come off of the original C Wing, and the second is a black box theater, the second stage, which is sort of in the courtyard area between the current theater and the planetarium. And the art studios opened this fall.
And you also did some reshuffling of some space, so you part of the aspiration for getting a new space was to try to commingle, bring some of the things back together. So
yes,
you've switched things around.
We switched quite a few things around. We brought all of our 3D arts, ceramics, sculpture, metals over from S Building and put those in the new art studios. And then we moved the drawing, the 2D, two-dimensional arts, up from the lower level of D. And so we took photography and graphic design and moved those from C Wing down to new studio spaces in lower D for them. So now we have all of our Mac labs together in D. We have graphic design, photo, and also our audio and video down there, along with the darkroom that was always there. Plus we've added space for AMP, which is the student-staffed public relations firm.
So that space, example, in the basement of the D Wing gives you a lot more movable space. You've got a lot more collaborative spaces. You can develop much more in line with a modern classroom. Yes,
the studio spaces have obviously the computers, but each of the classrooms also has a bit of a conference or collaborative workspace. There's a lot more room for the students to work. They share a print room. We also have been able to add an actual photography studio, complete with the lighting that we needed. We used to have that in a shared space. So now the students have an opportunity to do a lot more setup of photography, and for a lot of our art students it gives them a place where they can actually photograph their art in creating their portfolios.
We have a wonderful art program, wonderful department, a lot of really, really great creative stuff that we see in our student exhibit and our faculty exhibit. Talk to me a little bit about the growth in the area in terms of the student programming, what's happening in the various different areas.
Well, the one thing that's really important to us right now in terms of developing the programs is to expand the arts not just to students who may want to make art their career, but also to bring art into all aspects of a person's life. A lot of studies have been done about employers who say that they want people who have the creative skills that come from the arts, people who have a sort of a creative and critical thinking skills. And so we wanted to be able to bring the art program to a lot of other areas so that students that are studying, whether it's automotive or chemistry or even literature, would be able to connect that to sort of a passion in the arts. So what we've tried to do is create spaces where students can work on developing portfolios and see how the art that they're interested in applies to other careers. And the new spaces give us a better opportunity to do that and give the faculty more resources in order to create those kind of opportunities for students.
I think the millennial sort of generation is, I call them the creative class. It's the first time they've ever had the ability to bring something from concept to reality, and without necessarily needing an expert. I mean, there's either a software piece or there's tools available that can make them do it. Talk to me a little bit about the drawing and the 3D arts and what this new space means to those programs.
Well, one thing that it means is it brings all the faculty together. And it used to be that our 2D and our 3D arts were somewhat separated. Now, because they're together, the faculty can collaborate more, and our art faculty can actually collaborate more with our theater faculty because they're side by side as well, and a lot of the students cross over in that program. One of the really unique things is we've added an additional Mac lab in the new studios, and the faculty are able to introduce the digital aspect to the two-dimensional arts, to drawing, to color. Even in ceramics and metals, they'll be able to go right across the hall with the students to a computer lab, and the students can start incorporating, as you said, a lot of those software elements that can help them with their art.
And still, students are still attracted initially because of the idea that they can paint or they can draw or they can create something. But I mean, Fine and Applied Arts has always had that access for students who've never ever tried to do it before. It's the first time for them to do it. And they find with our faculty's help, they can be incredibly successful.
Yes, they can. The classes are, obviously, they're foundational classes. Any students who want to attempt it are able to do it. Community members as well. A lot of our students are longtime community members who will come back. And what's really neat for our students is that they often are in the studio class with other people who have been practicing this art for a while. So there's a lot of shared work, and they learn from one another. And I think the new studios allow, as you said, for a very open space. It tends to make it less intimidating. I think a lot of people don't necessarily want to try a studio art class because they think they have to already know how to do it. But our faculty are incredible at bringing out that creative element in all of our students, and all of our faculty are working artists, so they're very connected to the techniques that they're using. They also are constantly introducing new techniques, and they develop curriculum really that's very suited to the individual student.
And the space itself, I mean, I know in earlier discussions years and years ago, when we talked about developing a space that not only had the 2D and 3D in the same sort of shared space, but what the classrooms look like in terms of the overall design and the orientation for light. I remember being educated very early on that southern exposure light was not necessarily the best light, that there was a mixture that you needed. You certainly have that now, I think.
The one thing the faculty really wanted was the ability to control the light, because depending on what is being done in the studio, there's a need to change the lighting. And these studios were designed by faculty. They spent a lot of time with the architects. The previous studios that we've had were good spaces, but they were never designed specifically for the arts. So here the faculty were able to decide how they wanted to orient the students. They added things such as lighting, specific lighting for still lifes. They have track lighting along certain areas. They can light from the floor if they need to. There's a lot of opportunity. One thing the faculty have already said they really enjoy is the space, the size of the studio, and it's unobstructed space. So they're able to really move freely around, work with each student individually. There's a lot of freedom there. So they have the large windows that they can change the lighting if they want. They have very high ceilings. The amount of space, the freedom that the space provides, hopefully is something that will also sort of encourage the creative process.
The other thing about the facility now is that it's very visible because it is quite prominently positioned on the campus. It's around a very, very high volume area. When all the passageways are finally figured out and stuff, it will be a very prominent and visible, highly visible area, which can only be good for attracting more students who might just be walking by and have to have a look in the window.
One thing that, there's been a lot of building, as everyone knows, on campus, and there was a lot of talk about the new student union being the front door for the students. We sort of think of the C-wing side as being the front door for the community. This is where the arts are. This is where you come into the theater, the planetarium, and now the art studios are there as well. So it's right there near Perimeter Road, very easy access from the C lot, has an outdoor area for working on the sculpture outside as well. And the access to it is easy from the parking lot or through the building as well. And nicely located for the people in the Park Hill automotive studios as well, and we think there'll be a lot of interplay from that area as well.
Just go back to one more thing just to sort of tie this together in terms of the creative sort of energy that's in the area. You mentioned AMP, which is a student-run applied media production company. Talk a little bit about how you're sort of looking to connect what the students are learning in the classroom to sort of a practical application and preparation for the career world.
Well, in a national survey of students who graduated from fine art programs, two of the things that most students said they wish they'd learned in college was how to network and the business side of the arts. Because when students want to go in the arts or try to make any type of career out of that, there's a business element they need to learn. And so when we created AMP, which is Applied Media Promotions, it was designed so the students would have a real-life experience of taking their art, whether it's photography, whether it's painting, drawing, whether it's the graphic design, video, public relations, advertising, and bringing that into a real-world setting where they work with clients. So they're able to work with clients from the college and with some not-for-profits outside in the community. And this gives them an opportunity to build the portfolio and to learn the business skills that go with the creative side of things. And
sounds like the perfect combination. I want to thank you for being here today and good luck with the rest of the year.
well, thank you.
We'll be right back after this short break.
Hey, Allison and Dylan, what if I told you you could get a head start on college before you graduated high school and for little to no cost?
Well, I'd ask you what the catch is.
Yeah, how can I take college courses if I haven't even finished high school yet?
That's easy. You simply enroll in dual credit courses at Parkland College.
But won't that be expensive?
Yeah, will all the credits transfer?
Well, most four-year universities accept these credits, and you're actually saving money. Many times the high school will even cover the cost of the course.
I'm sorry, did I overhear you guys correctly? Did you just say that you could take college courses without paying college tuition?
Yeah, all we pay for is the course and the textbook, and we can earn college credit towards getting our degree.
You guys are catching on. The credit works toward a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, and even toward career certificate programs.
I like the sound of this.
I don't know, this all sounds great, but I already have a busy schedule and I won't have time to drive to classes.
You won't have to. Parkland offers a number of dual credit courses online, in addition to the on-campus courses. Some of the courses are even taught in your high school.
You mean to say that one of the high school classes I'm taking right now could work as a dual credit course as well?
Yes, you should talk to the school counselor to see which classes are offered as dual credit in our school. Then all you need to do is apply to Parkland, and once you're accepted, fill out the application to the dual credit program. You'll need the signature of your parents and advisor for this.
That sounds easy enough, but are there any requirements to being eligible for dual credit?
Yes, you must be a junior or senior in high school, age 16 or above, in order to be eligible for dual credit courses. You can print an application online or visit Parkland's admissions office to pick one up.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to see the counselor right now.
Yeah, I don't want to miss out on this opportunity.
Me neither.
What can your phone do?
Hi, I'm Sarah Von Holten, and I am the account executive for the branding of AMP and also for the Haiti project.
My name is Ian Williams, and I'm the account executive for AMP, and I've been working on the X-Tech Success project.
Currently a graphic design student here at Parkland College, and I needed some extra credit hours for my internship, and I felt that AMP would be a perfect opportunity for me to do so.
AMP is a strategic communications firm that was founded in 2014, and it provides students with the opportunity to apply what they learn in the classroom in terms of writing and critical thinking skills to real scenarios.
So the structure of AMP is that we have students who have some experience in PR or advertising, and if they have experience, then they're considered our account executives. They would be the primary point of contact between our clients and the rest of AMP. If we have students come in and they don't have any experience, then those students would be the assistant account executives.
Clients come to us and they need promotional work done, and from there the students look at the promotional challenge and develop a strategic plan that will serve the client's needs, and then they work to execute that plan over the course of a semester.
We have a creative team that would include graphic designers, videographers, photographers, possibly even somebody from hospitality. That allows us to draw in more people from more areas of the college, which is kind of our primary goal. We try to be all-inclusive and then include as many people from as many different areas as we can.
AMP has helped my work ethic in the sense that I understand how important it is to be there and to be on time, and you're a part of a team. So if you're not pulling your weight, you're pulling everyone else down.
AMP has given me some good opportunities to increase the work in my portfolio. I'm a graphic design student, so working with communication students and business students allow me to really see things from a different angle.
So I've actually always had a passion for PR. I just never knew where to focus it. And that's one of the things that AMP has led me to do. It actually taken the skills that I've already had and the skills I didn't know I had and actually made them come alive.
I was given the opportunity to work on the Haiti project to do some recruitment for some students for an internship. And I would love to work for the Walt Disney Company and do some recruiting for them for their college program or to work on the cruise line. So now I have actual tangible experience to show the company that I can do this, and it's been awesome.
Welcome back to the Parkland Report. Joining me in this segment, Denise Seif, I think still the program coordinator for the art program. Ruta Rauber, a student, an assistant in the department, and then Arwin Sabas, who's currently a student in 2D, particularly 2D, but sometimes takes 3D classes or is taking 3D classes right now. You're very welcome to the Parkland Report. Thank you for being here. Denise, we were talking about the new building and the new space, and we've heard it from the point of view of the department chair. Talk a little bit about it from the program coordinator and the faculty point of view.
Yeah, well, as Nancy was saying, the fact that we actually have both the 2D and 3D faculty together in the same place, it's a lot of fun for the faculty to be together, and there's a lot more interaction that we get to have, but then that's also very exciting for us to see the students. We're so used to seeing them in our own classes, so to be able to see them in the hallways and catch them working on a drawing and being able to kind of get that view of what they're up to in some of the other classes is really exciting too. So it is, it's just nice to have everyone together, or at least the 2D and 3D areas together in that new space. So.
One of the things we're noticing about the new construction on campus, obviously the student union, we're noticing students are hanging around a lot more. They seem to be like those shared areas, the shared spaces, and certainly you had 3D in one place and 2D in a completely different place. There's definitely an opportunity for students to kind of get to know each other and hang out.
And it's interesting, just the other day when I was teaching class, I had students walking by and they were waving to their friends, or one person had finished my metals class and was in the color class, and her friend said, "Oh, let me see what you're doing." And so she just walked her right over and showed her what was going on. So they wouldn't have had that interaction before, and now they do. So it's nice that it's very easy to see that. And the students have always spent a lot of time in the studios because you have to do a lot of work in the studios. And so it's nice for them to have the chance to take a break and see what's happening in the other spaces as well.
So artists are very good at visualizing something in their minds and then creating it out of thin air, to my mind. But certainly the faculty had a lot of input and a lot of conversations about this new space. And is it what you imagined it would be?
Yeah, a lot of it is. I mean, there was a lot of working on trying to figure out what we needed and what we want. We visited other schools too to see what was working in other places. So, we tried to make good decisions for how we not only envision how it would be used now, but also for future use, and wanting some flexibility for that for the future as well. So. Because the building's going to be around a lot longer than I am, so just the idea of kind of planning ahead too. So, yeah, I think there were a lot of things that really came together in this new space.
Rudy, you've got a chance to work in both the old S building where the 3D was, and now you're working as a studio assistant. So from your point of view as both a student and now as somebody who's actually here working with us, what's the change been like for you in terms of the space?
Definitely the lighting as well. There's, as we said before, the light is critical for 2D, but as well for 3D because you have that interplay between light and shadow. And if you have a dimensional object, you know, texture and the way a form shapes is, you know, you're more informed if you have a light source. And having that natural light coming in is I think, very critical. And also, and again, the sense of space, you're not feeling like you're confined. And the light also changes, like if you're doing glazes, looking at it, at some of this finished glaze under artificial light, you're like, why would you even want to put that on your wonderfully formed object?
Mm-hmm.
But now when you see it in it with you know, in a natural, you're thinking, wow, it's the sun, it's actually picking up on things in that glaze that you perhaps would have said no in under fluorescent lighting, but you're like, oh yeah, this is really, you know, I want to put this on there. So just that whole sense of light, space, you know, it's it's just a, you know, the airflow somehow is more, I mean, there's just more a positive energy in there. I mean, not that wasn't before, but it's just like an enhanced, with the lighting, I think for the mood for everybody is definitely a plus.
And a lot more students around, and a lot more activity, and people passing through and looking in the window and seeing what's going on.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
A very airy kind of space. Arwen, as a student, what attracted you to coming to Parkland College to study art here?
Well, I always heard that the art program here was really good, and given the amount of money that I had, Parkland was just the best option. So those two things combined really swayed me towards the Parkland direction.
Can you talk a little bit about your experience in the classes you've taken, where you've taken the classes, what the new building means now?
My experience with the classes in the lower level D wing, they were great. Like all the information that I was getting and practice I was getting was great. But the space, I feel like, will really allow for more, because the space, it has so much more integration with all the students all coming together, and there's more energy in the halls, there's more energy in your work, and I think that's really kind of important. Also, what she was talking about, the lighting, that's a really big thing for me. Mostly working in, I like to do painting a lot, and being able to see how the colors really look, I think is really nice. I can't wait to hopefully just paint in there sometime. I already took both painting 1 and 2, but.
Do you also now get a chance to see what your fellow students are doing in the 3D world, and maybe that you wouldn't have been as aware of before?
Yeah, I never actually saw the 3D design building because this is my first 3D class, but it's cool to look right into the ceramics room or right next to us. And
so one of the things maybe, Rudy, you know about as well is that our faculty are wonderful here, but they're constantly working and changing and looking at different approaches to making art. Is that something that's passed on to the students? Are students encouraged to try different things since the faculty are so actively engaged in making art?
Oh yeah, I honestly, the faculty here, it's like a treasure that I don't know how many people know out there, but I came into the art area at later times, and they have it over the years. I'm amazed at it's like I have this latent stuff in there, and through Denise and Chris and Joan and everybody, they just get it out of you that it's in there, and maybe they have the yank on you, it's just amazing. So I really they're just really at the top of their games, and their ability and their openness to trying different things. Or I'll say, hey, well, what about such and such technique? Okay, well, read up on it, do some testing, and let's just see where this takes us. So Denise is really, she's very open to, well, take a risk, see what happens, do some research, do some, muddle around, and sometimes we have a failure, and you learn from your mistakes. It's like, well, okay, note to self, next time do it in this order and not in this order. So yeah, and even Chris, I like to do a lot of crazy things with like glazes, and so I'll say, well, can I do this? And so, yeah, he's usually open to, well, go ahead, see what happens to it. So, yeah, they're great.
Denise, I know, with the faculty, to me it's been very interesting, and I'm kind of curious about now how their minds will be expanded with this new space and whether or not we'll see 2D artists sort of thinking about 3D application or vice versa. I've been struck over the years with some very, very interesting trends in terms of moving from sort of a miniature to a larger style, to mixing media. Very, very creative and actively engaged faculty. We're very lucky.
Yeah, we are. And I think you're right as far as size is a big thing. I think it'll show up in the faculty too, but definitely in the students. When we're talking about painting and stuff, this painting studio is huge. And so I know Joan talked about, I'm sure we're going to see now people working much larger scale because the space actually allows for that. And so I would not be surprised if some of our own work grows in size too. So it'll be interesting to see. I think there's going to be a lot of levels of appreciating the new building.
Arwen, what about you as you look forward to the future and continuing to take art classes? Are there any things that you're thinking now you might try that you wouldn't have even thought about before?
Well, I was going to take photography, but when I saw the ceramics and the sculpture classes going on, I happened to walk in during one of Chris's sculpture classes, and I was like, well, I have to take sculpture now. So definitely.
So, well, do you think you could maybe apply some of your painting skills to part of your sculpture piece as well? Is that something that you could blend over?
I mean, sure. Why not?
I have a piece in my office from a student who only ever took one art class here. She was a veterinary tech, and she made a piece called Jigsaw Puzzle, where she painted a piece of ceramic as if it were a jigsaw, and then the two pieces knitted together, which I think was amazing to me because she was a student who was just taking one class, but then she had an opportunity and got to exhibit it. So one of the other things I want to talk about, Ruth, is that we give an opportunity for our faculty and our staff and students to exhibit. And talk to me a little bit about what that means to you as a former student and now as an active artist, and as well as that the community members who come back in to take classes and having that opportunity to have their work displayed.
Well, as far as the faculty portion of it, where the faculty show just ended last week, that gives the students and anyone at large to come in and view their point of view. So, you talk, they're in an instructional mode, we see them, but then we get the opportunity to see them at what they're about when they're not having to worry about grades and dropping classes and all that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting. We get to see a different side of them that we don't see them as our instructor. As far as the student, we have a student show in the spring, and I've been involved both as a student in that aspect as well as helping the faculty facilitate, getting ready for the jury. And for me, again, coming in too late as a more mature adult or whatever you want to call it, and to have a piece of mine accepted into the show has been just like a real big empowerment and a validation of my talents by the faculty. So, and that's as well for other students that they get the opportunity to show their work in a gallery professional setting for the world to see. So it's very powerful.
Arwen, for you as well, the gallery space important to how you see art at Parkland?
I think seeing all the work all together is a different experience than seeing it while you're working on it. And like having it just all oriented in a way where you can, because they have it each work floated in a mat. So just seeing it in that way is different and really nice to see.
Well, it's appropriate that we end with the point about perspective, and so I wish you well in your new space and a new perspective and fruitful creation in art in the months ahead. And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
That's it for this edition of Parkland Report. We'll see you back here next time.